Hi guys, welcome back. It's Mike with K.I.S.S Dog Training, and today we are going to be talking about something called a predictive cue. Okay, so let's start with the word cue. Cue, command, something we ask the dog to do that when they do it, we reward it. When they don't do it, we redirect it or create a routine or alternative behavior that makes it more repeatable, I guess. Okay, predictive means helping the dog understand what's coming up next. So when I think of this idea, of a predictive cue, the first thing that comes to mind is the veterinary visits or the grooming visits, or maybe even meeting people in public where we need to let the dog know what's about to happen. So let's take the vet, for example. If we can teach our dog that every single time we say paw, okay, it might become a shake command. The dog might put their paw in our hand. It could just be a prediction that we are going to do something with your paw. So if I was sitting there hand feeding a dog that I just started with or a puppy, I might very well say paw, touch the paw, give them a treat. Touch the paw, give them a treat. As I'm going along, it might become a little bit more of a massage to the paw, doing it a little bit longer, then giving the treat. But basically, I want the dog to understand that word paw means we're going to do something with your foot, and there's going to be a reward involved. We could even go so far as saying chin, where I hold my hand up and the dog puts their head in my hand. And that could be the cue. Hey, I want you to put your head here. I could then add to it and say pet, which means somebody's going to come in and pet me. It could mean, hey, hold right here, and the vet might be doing something at the back end of the dog. I would include a word like touch, which means we're going to touch. Any of these things that we do to help the dog know what's coming next are predictive. And if we can be predictive in our cues, the dog is going to feel more comfortable. Okay, let's go to the groomer. And we're going to say things like brush. Okay, and then I'm going to brush and give them a treat. Brush, give them a treat. I might do nails, which would be a predictive cue of I'm going to get the nail trimmers out and I'm going to do this. And I'm sure you guys, if you haven't, I've talked about this before, but everybody when they do a dog's toenails gets in such a hurry that they want to do all the toenails all at once. What if we just simply said nails, did one nail, gave them a treat and quit for the day? Next day, nails, second nail. And you kind of get the dog used to it without overwhelming them of trying to hold them down or restrict them or give them no choice through the process. So that's just a little tip about nails. But we could do, like I said, brush. We could do nails. I could say tail. A lot of dogs have issues with their tail, so I'm going to say tail, and I'm going to touch their, tail, and I'm going to give them a treat. I've always done the idea of cradle and massage, which is getting dogs used to this. But in a lot of cases, I find myself using predictive cues without really realizing what they were, or that we needed something like this. But it wasn't until I heard the word that it was like, wow, I could even focus on this more than I really do. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the veterinarian. We've talked a little bit about the groomer. It could be, even the groomers, saying, groomer's friend or whatever they're going to call the strap that they use when they're on the table so that they won't fall off. We could use a predictive cue of table, which means, okay, we're going to put you up on the table. Anything we can do to help that dog realize what's coming next to me, I think is going to be really important. Okay. Meeting people, mine is always say hello. So if I'm at a Home Depot or I'm at a Lowe's or I'm at a Bass Pro or one of these dog friendly places, and somebody walks up, I always put my dogs in a sit and I say stay, and then I'll talk to the people and they say, can I pet your dog? And it's really important for me, you don't approach my dog to pet them. I release my dog to you and they'll come say hello on cue, knowing that they're going to get petted. Now, the reason I do this is there are going to be days just like for us humans, we don't feel like being real social. We could be just having a bad day. But if I say hello and my dog doesn't move forward, that dog is letting me know I really don't want to do this. And I think it's important that we respect that. So again, that's another example of this kind of predictive cue that allows the dog to know what's coming next. And then, of course, we have to make sure that we're rewarding that behavior as well. Okay, now this brings us to the idea of okay, a predictive cue. Now let's talk about this thing of talking to your dogs. Now, one of my favorite sayings in the world is dogs don't speak English and we don't speak dog, so don't get lost in the woods of words. I think it's really way more important for a dog to see a hand signal and learn what that hand signal means. So I always start with hand signals, then I start saying the word along with the hand signals, then the words gain meaning. But, there's an entire group of German Shepherd trainers who think you have to say plots for down. I don't care if the dog was born in the Rhineland or not, he doesn't speak German. It's just the word that we choose to use. Every single country is going to have different words for sit and down and come here and stay and all this good stuff. The hand signals are the most important, then the words become part of what humans want. Okay? Now, flip side of this, if we're using predictive cues and certain words mean certain things, then talking to your dog, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I might even argue if we get into the habit of talking to our dogs and using appropriate tone with the dogs, I think it's going to do a lot to relax dogs. A lot of people think that you have to be, dominant or strong with your voice whenever you're communicating with a dog. Well, that would be like me being dominant and strong with every conversation I had with every person I interacted with. Some people are going to like a softer voice, some people are going to respond to a louder voice. So I think it's more what your dog is used to. But, I do think that using, I always joke that mom voice, dads stereotypically are the pre programmed yellers and screamers. And moms are the ones who can, I am so disappointed in you. And really, really rip your soul out, okay, when you're in trouble. I think with dogs, using more that mom tone of, what are you doing? Okay, so this brings us to another fancy word in dog training, which is a negative mark, which is what do we say when the dog does something we don't want? And I can remember when I first started in dog training, the popular word was ah, which is kind of this abrupt, stop doing what you're doing thing. And very quickly, I kind of just naturally made my negative mark. Nope, nope. With one of my dogs, her negative mark is what are you thinking? What are you doing? Which is think, try something different. So I think with voice, if you're gruff, it tells the dog that whatever I'm doing at that moment in time is going to get me in trouble, so I better stop behaving. But if you really think about um, our end goal with dog training, it's to get the dog to do what you want. So if they're doing something I don't want, and I can give them a cue, again, we're talking that predictive idea of cues, that this word means, I'm not sure I like that. You sure you don't want to try something different? And all of a sudden the dog sits. Okay, now that's a rewardable moment. I can reward that. So I don't really want the dog to be worried about what they're doing and stop behavior. I want the dog to feel confident enough to go, that wasn't right, let me try something else. Okay? So a lot of the training you've seen me do is a lot of Marco Polo, hot and cold, where I'm giving the dog a choice and then waiting and seeing what they offer and then rewarding it. And the more rewarding the behavior becomes, the more often the dog offers that behavior. So this entire conversation of predictive cues and then the natural next step of talking to your dogs is all about just creating a relationship with your dog and getting your dog to understand kind of what you want in the moment. So, this is a quick, fast, furious one. We're going to have another one coming up soon about generalization and how that can affect dog training, which is kind of maybe the part two of this conversation. But just remember, nobody likes a jerk. So don't be a jerk to get what you want. Give your dog choices. Give your dog a way to know what you want and then reward the snot out of it. So once again, it's Mike with K.I.S.S Dog Training. Try to be a little bit more predictive with your cues. Come back next time and we'll talk about something else. You guys have a great day.